Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Monday. I wanted to continue part 2 of the nutrition thing that I started last week. Let me just go to where I left off so I can continue bringing to you what has been brought to me, because after all, that's what we're all here for, to learn and to share what we learn and hopefully be able to contribute and make a difference. So that's what I want to do. So the last time I left off with the nutrition thing, we were talking about all the, having the breakfast and lunch and dinner and the way to space that out and whatever. So the next notes that I have, I'll start from there. So there's a list of foods to include, and there's, include the most of certain foods and least of the other foods. Now I'm going to run you through just some examples. So on the left side of my notes here are vegetables, and they're an extreme, like an extreme list of vegetables. So every vegetable under the sun would be on this list. Fresh fruit, whole grains, and that includes bulgur wheat, barley, farro, millet, brown rice, quinoa, the list goes on. Make sure it's a whole grain and not stripped of its husk or things like that. Lean protein, and that includes legumes, tofu, tempeh, fish, organic poultry, and eggs are on this list. Now, what's not on this list of protein is red meat. So specifically in class, we were told no red meat. There's a lot of reasons why, there's a lot of research why, and it's just not recommended. It's not a healthy part of any diet, in my opinion. And although I am now plant-based, there are still, listed is still on here, fish, organic poultry, and eggs. That's still on this list. I personally don't think that those options are healthy, but again, it's all up to you and what you choose to eat. I did eat those things at one point, but I just choose not to anymore. So my protein sources do come from legumes, any kind of legumes, beans that you want to eat, that's fine. Just make sure they're, cooked in a healthy way. So you don't want to be deep frying these options that I'm telling you, because that just takes away everything. Every good part of it is being taken away by deep frying it. So if you're saying, yeah, I'm having broccoli, but you're doing like broccoli tempura and deep frying it, you're still eating broccoli, but you're eating broccoli coated in sugar, in fat and oil and things like that. So be aware that a potato may be healthy, but when you deep fry potatoes, that's a French fry, and yeah, they're good, but that's not considered healthy anymore. Now, so vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and healthy fats. So on the healthy fats, we have avocado, nuts. You want to do raw unsalted if you can, and if you do get them like roasted or dry roasted, just make sure there's no added oils to them, because they're already fat. They have the oils that are needed. Seeds, chia, flax seeds, hemp seeds, sunflower, pumpkin seeds, all of that. And this is a category that you should monitor your intake of these. So not to say you shouldn't eat them, but you should monitor how much you're eating them. Don't eat directly out of a package of mixed nuts or any of those things, because they're very, very calorie dense and full of fat. So you can really exceed your calories, or even what's necessary in that when you're eating that. So you should have a handful of nuts a day. Anything more than that, really, you're eating a little too much of it. Now here, under the red meat category, so I'm going to say no to this. You do whatever you want. No beef. Now, under red meat, they listed red meat as all of the following: beef, lamb, goat, pork, deli and processed meats. That includes hot dogs, sausages, anything, literally anything from the deli counter, pretty much. Red meat, deli, processed meat. These have been proven to increase the risk of cancer. Now, you do whatever you want with that information. You continue to eat your steak and you continue to eat whatever you want. I am just bringing you the information that's brought to me, and I'm just trying to bring awareness to it and hopefully just educate on that particular topic. Again, your food choices, your lifestyle is completely your business, and it is your choice the way you want to lead your life and what you want to put into your body. But I'm just here to tell you what I've learned. So none of those none of those what I just listed are healthy for you or even recommended to have in any amount, even a minimal amount. Now the foods that we're talking about to include the vegetables, fresh fruit, whole grains, all of that they're full of fiber, and fiber adds to feeling full. So have all of those things that we talked about. Fruit, I don't need to name every fruit for you. All fresh fruit. Dried fruit may have added sugar, and those aren't the best. Dried fruit has been stripped of its water and all of that. So and it can just add up a little more than having the whole fruit, because you have the water included in it, the fiber and all of that. Same goes for juices. Although you could have 100% juice in a cup of orange juice, you're getting like eight oranges, let's say, that have been squeezed to get that juice. So you're also getting the sugar content of 8 oranges and etc. But if you're eating 8 oranges in one sitting, that might be a little more challenging than just literally throwing it back in a cup. So I'm not saying don't have juice, but kind of weigh your options. You can have the whole fruit instead, and it would just add to feeling full. Now, there are people who juice and all that and do smoothies and whatever, and that works for them, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. For me, someone who's trying to lose weight and also feel full for longer, this works for me. I do not drink smoothies. I do not juice my vegetables or my fruit. I just don't do it right now in this phase of my journey. I may juice later, I may have smoothies later and things like that, but right now this works for me to eat my fruit and chew my food rather than drink my food. That's just what I do. So mostly I drink water, and I drink some unsweetened tea, and once in a blue unsweetened coffee. So I have this coffee that I have from Califia Farms. It's a cold brew. It has nothing added to it, 0 calories. It's in my fridge. I mix a little bit of the milk, the soy, not soy, I'm sorry. It's almond milk I have in my fridge right now, or cashew milk, one of those two, unsweetened version. I add a little bit of that, and I add a dash of cinnamon, and I mix it together with ice. And to me, that is super satisfying when I want that coffee taste. I'm not a regular coffee drinker, so it really isn't an issue for me. There are people who have to have their coffee every single day with sugar and milk and all that stuff. And okay, that's you. Maybe you can work on that, or maybe you can have a little bit healthier alternatives in your coffee so that it can be a healthier drink option for you if you have to start your morning with it. Water is recommended, no calories being, no calorie beverages are recommended. And that doesn't mean go the artificial route, because artificial sweeteners are not recommended at all. And things like diet sodas and things like that, although they have no calories, those artificial sweeteners do produce certain reactions in your body that cause your insulin spikes and cause you to feel feelings of hunger, and actually make you want to eat more. So I don't recommend diet beverages. I used to love diet soda, and I'm so glad that I don't drink that anymore, believe me. Now, flax seeds are recommended to have, but for omega-3s, if you're not eating fish or things like that. And the best way to get that into your body is to grind them and not eat them in their whole form, because it doesn't get absorbed as easily. I think I said that in my last video. Olive oil is not a healthy fat, despite what you have been told or what you think. Olive oil is 50% saturated fat. So you're taking a whole food and you're extracting its oils. So you're taking an olive, you're extracting its oils, and then using it in cooking, and it is very calorie dense. It is, if we're talking about calorie density, is one of the oils are the highest calorie dense foods out there. They are not healthy. They're not necessary in your cooking. In fact, when you do cook them at high temperatures, they do form different compounds that are no longer healthy. So if you really want to, maybe add a drizzle of it to your salad if you really love oil and things like that, or eat other healthy fats and whole form healthy fats. Eat olives, eat nuts, eat avocados and chia seeds and all those other things that do have naturally occurring fats and not fats that have been extracted from them, if that makes sense. The same goes for peanut butter, almond butter, and all that stuff. Not to say you can't eat that. I definitely still have peanut butter, almond butter, and things like that. But just understand that in 1 tablespoon of almond, or no, whatever thing you've ground up now, it's going to be more calorically dense and have more fat than if you just had a handful of nuts, or maybe the same equivalent if you took it, measured it, the equivalent of fat and whatever to the whole form of the almond or whatever to the almond butter, you'll see that the whole form one weight comes out to be a little better than the butter of it. Foods to limit: bread, white rice, pasta, cold cereals, things that are just added, like enriched and packaged box cereals that are loaded with different things and sugar and things like that. White potatoes, prepackaged snacks, artificial sweeteners, caloric beverages, fried foods, cheese, oil, sweets, and butter. Sorry. I've just listed everything good in life, right? But not necessarily. When you do cut them out, when you do kind of learn a different way of eating, it's not such a death sentence, really. Now, macronutrients are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Now, with carbs, we're talking about simple versus complex. So simple carbs, example is fruit, milk, dairy, honey, corn syrup, sugar, bread, pasta, white rice, white potatoes. They have less fiber and they cause more hunger. They might spike but they do spike blood sugars and insulin, which then leads to fat storage. Complex carbohydrates. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to include fruit in that. I think that was a mistake, but milk, dairy, honey, things like that. I might have been I don't know what that note was. That's my error. Complex carbs are whole grains, legumes, fruits, starchy vegetables, which include sweet potatoes, peas, corn, squash, things like that. So when you eat this way of what I listed and, all the things I said not to eat, calorie counting then is not really recommended or doesn't become necessary because you're eating a quality of foods versus a quantity of foods, if that makes sense. You're eating foods that are full of fiber and it's keeping you full, and you will not necessarily need to count calories. But if you like counting calories, then continue to do so. Now, the whole thing with proteins, it's pretty much a marketing scam of what protein you need and all that stuff. So the average person needs 45 to 55 grams of protein per day. And it comes out to roughly 0.8 to 0.9 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. Now, the average American consumes 70 to 100 grams of protein per day, so way above what you actually need. Now, what you need calorically, protein and all that might be different depending on your goals, but this is a baseline. This is an average. Protein, I guess, you always hear eat protein, no fat, no carbs, carbs has become the enemy and this, that, and the other. Okay. That's a bunch of stuff, it is marketing. It is, there's a lot of information out there and some of it might be accurate and some of it might not be. You really do have to do your research. You really do have to be aware of what you're putting into your body and why. Not just because it said, eat a lot of protein and you're doing it. Just figure out what your body actually needs and what it doesn't so that you can make the proper choices. So 45 to 55 grams of protein per day. So if you think about what that actually means and what we actually eat, you need half of that in your daily diet. Now when you eat whole food, plant-based, you are absorbing effective calories. So all the calories that you're eating from a legume or from all that stuff is not being absorbed into your body. It's being passed through your body, if you know what I'm saying. So fiber and things like that, they're not always absorbed. So the calories that you're seeing, or the actual calories that are in those foods, are not all being added to your daily intake, because they're being used to clear you out. And I'll just put it like that to keep it, not gross here. Now we're moving on to, fat. Okay, so fat is essential to the composition of your cell membranes. Trans fats, however, which have been banned as of June 2018 by the FDA and labeled unsafe for human consumption. So these are the fats that are keeping things shelf stable in the supermarkets. The baked goods that are shelf stable and have a long shelf life, those are loaded with trans fats. And according to the FDA now, they're unsafe for human consumption. So, I mean, it took a while for them to say that, but now that they're saying it, I mean, make your own choice if you're still eating that stuff or not. You want fats that are naturally occurring, in the foods. Now, fats that you don't need are fats from fried food, fats from margarine, snack foods, processed foods, and things like that. Saturated fat in oils are highest in palm oil, coconut oil, and cocoa butter. And believe it or not, Americans get the most saturated fat from chicken breast, because we have been consuming more chicken breast, let's say, than however many years ago than we do now. And chicken breast, even though it's considered a lean white meat, still has saturated fat, and we are still getting fat from it. Unsaturated fat is, there's unsaturated fat and there's polyunsaturated fat, and I think there's other fats, who knows. But the best fat for you is from whole foods. So think walnuts, think nuts, think seeds, avocado, things like that. Those are the best sources of fat. Healthy foods, here we go, next page. It says healthy foods come from whole foods like avocado and nuts. Fiber self-limits the amount that you can eat, okay? So that's what we've been saying. When you eat whole foods, they're packed full of fiber, they're packed full of so many things. So it does limit you on what you can eat. When you strip foods of their fiber, when you strip foods of their nutrients and their water content and all that, you are able to eat more. They are not nutritionally dense, they are only calorically dense. So you're getting a lot of calories, you're getting no nutrition, and you're getting fatter and unfortunately less healthy. And really, we don't want that. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me, so I don't want it for you. Now, we went into the topic now of produce pitfalls. Eat your fruits, don't drink them. I mentioned that before. Why? It's just, that's what I do. So the doctor that is conducting the class recommended to purchase organic fruits and vegetables, the ones that don't have thick peels, because when the fruits and vegetables have thick peels, it kind of, like a watermelon, you might be safer if you're not eating the organic. I don't always buy organic. I buy what's on sale or what I can do. If I can do organic, then I can. And if I can't, then I'm just happy that I'm eating whole foods and calling it a day. Yes, I might be getting a little more pesticides in my fruits, but at this point, I have to eat also what I can afford to eat. And if the organic option is way more expensive than the other option, then I have to go with that. And, I'm not judging anyone who only eats organic, so don't judge me. I'm eating what I can do and what's best for me in my situation or whatever I may be in. That's what I'm doing. So organic or not, I'm still eating fruits and vegetables, and I'm happy about that. That's the bright side for me. Water, drink lots of it. It helps your body. 64 ounces per day or more if you're exercising or if you're in the heat. Do not drink diet sodas and sugar-free options. Limit caffeinated beverages, as they will act to dehydrate you. So yes, your coffee and tea may be good for you and have other benefits, but they will dehydrate you. So counteract those effects with water. Foods with the most, fruits with the most antioxidants, berries and apples. Try to get at least 3 to 4 fruits per day. And of course, eat a lot abundantly of greens and vegetables, as much as you can. Half of your plate every single time you eat a meal, please do that. These are little notes that I wrote. I'm going to include this before I end this video. Dry roasted nuts are okay. Try to think outside the box when it comes to your meals. You don't need to eat the traditional breakfast items like pancakes or French toast or cereal and all the things that we think about when we think about breakfast. You can think outside of the box. Some examples for breakfast would be, oatmeal with different toppings that you want. You can do a soup, lentil soup. You could do rice and beans. I know it sounds insane, but believe me, I love a good satisfying breakfast. And those breakfasts that are satisfying in the right ways will get you full, will get you satisfied, and will power you through until your next meal at lunch. Avoid instant options when it comes to oatmeal because they're not as they're not as fiber full as the other options like rolled oats or things like that. And instant options sometimes do include sugars in them, so you want to avoid that. Granola is not a healthy option. It takes a lot of oil to make granola. Unless you're making an oil-free granola and all that, then try to make it a healthier version. Dairy is inflammatory and it has no fiber. And I avoid dairy at all costs because of the inflammatory properties, and it has been shown to, cause other things like the growth of tumor cells and things like that. So I avoid that if I can. I mean, we're all, someone, I don't know who said something to me, I want to live my life the way I want to live it and I'm going to die anyway. And yeah, okay, yes. And I would rather it not be from dairy, whatever my cause of death may be, I'd rather it not be from that. And if I can control something in that way or live a healthier lifestyle in that way, then I will. Now here we go. Oh, yogurt also same thing, all dairy. It's not, one thing's not better than the other. Now fiber in natural forms acts differently than, fiber in natural form acts differently than added powder fiber. So try to get your fiber from whole foods. If you want to use olive oil, use it in a spray bottle. That's a better option. You can saute foods without oil. You can use vegetable broth. You could use water. I've tried it. It works. You can roast vegetables whole, like a potato, sweet potato or an eggplant or things like that. But you won't, I'm not going to lie to you, you're not going to get the crispiness of certain things when you fry them. When you roast them without oil, but sometimes you just sacrifice that. But if you really do want that little bit, then add it with a spray, or make sure when you're drizzling, it's literally a drizzle and it's not actually going and putting like tablespoons and tablespoons of oil over the food that's healthy and then making it chock full of fat and chock full of everything else that you do not need. And then add your oil, don't cook with it. And, try that. Try the spray. It really does work. So I hope these pointers and tips helped you when it comes to nutrition. It's part 2 of the series. There will be a part 3 of the series and hopefully a part 4. And then, I'm trying to get as much information to you as I can in a short amount of time, which not really that short looking at the time, but it's all the information that I have for today, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.